This is our 1978 MCI bus that's been converted to a mobile home, tiny house that's currently for sale. It's 40 foot long and 8 foot wide. It has one rooftop Gree air conditioner unit. The engine in it is a 8V71. This is a 2-stroke Detroit engine that's mated to a 4-speed Allison automatic transmission. Yeah.
How am I doing?
The road air conditioner compressor would sit right where that 5-gallon bucket is. It's been removed by the previous owner, so there's no road air conditioner. These storage compartments go all the way through. There's 3 of them. This one in the very back.
No.
Has 200-gallon tanks. One was for fresh water and one was for gray water. I haven't hooked either one of them up, but the previous owner installed them. The hot water heater's this 10-gallon electric hot water heater. It's wired into the main service panel. There's a 25 or 30 foot 50 amp cord right there. There's also a heater that I use that I would just plug into 110 volt on a power strip. That water hose has 15 foot of heat wrap tape and it's insulated up 15 foot of it. And I built it, we'd have to open the other side to see, but I built it so you could easily pull loose the connections. There's a drop down that could drop down into that gray water tank, and you could slide a black water tank and unscrew that 3-inch threaded piece so that you could put a black water tank under the toilet. The door is the original bus door. Because it's so heavy, I've always wanted to remove it and put an RV door in it, but I never have. The roof is gray. The previous owner put a commercial roof lay down. I guess it's like a cool seal, but since it's a commercial version, it's gray instead of the traditional white. The back tires are used recap tires that would probably need to be replaced, not because they're low on tread, but because they're dry rotted. The front tires don't appear to be recaps. They appear to be new. And I'll get down here to show you that the tread on them is really, really deep. So walking in, you have the driver's seat to the right. It's got the traditional bus door handle like the old school buses have to open and shut the door. To the right here is a bunk bed above that's a twin size?
Yeah.
Twin size bed.
You can also put pillows and make it into an extra seating area. That's what the previous owner did.
And then this up top, we still have some material up here, wooden stuff. There's some padding that we've just stored because we use this up top as shelves and cabinetry. But we'll give the padding with whoever buys the bus so that this will be 2 small beds with the ladder right here. To the right is a Danby designer refrigerator. It's just a 110 volt apartment refrigerator. It works great. It's got a freezer and plenty of shelves with shelves on the door. The propane stove, we actually just have a 20-gallon traditional propane tank that we put in the front compartment on the passenger side. It's almost directly under the stove. There's a regulator and a hose. You could actually put 2 tanks and hook up 2 tanks if you wanted. But since we didn't cook much in it, we just used the one. But it's an apartment size 4-burner stove with an oven. And there's a broiler at the bottom. This is granite countertops. This is a big 2-compartment sink. It's actually bigger than the one in our house. And it's got a real nice pull out. Then we have cabinet underneath. There's the plumbing to it. There's another cabinet and a drawer.
They all have sticky stuff on them so they don't come out going on.
They're all Velcroed. On the other side you have a cabinet and a countertop, and that's just below this bunk bed. Also, I redid all the electrical whenever I did it. I put a 50-amp panel. I still need to add a faceplate to this, but put a GFCI right here. The only other plug connected to this circuit is the plug for the entertainment center. And that, we just had this power strip on it, and we ran it right in behind this refrigerator. And we put the microwave on top of the refrigerator. And whenever we had this parked at an RV park, that's where our microwave was sitting right there. I'll put a dedicated circuit for the refrigerator. You can kind of see it right in behind the stove. The stove uses 110 to light the igniters. So the refrigerator and the stove is plugged into that dedicated circuit. There's an additional circuit up front that I put, and it's standalone. And the purpose for it is we was always going to get a portable air conditioner to sit up here. Since the bus only has one rooftop unit, we could plug it in right there. And this vent down here is actually a factory vent. I'll go outside and show you real quick. The previous owner didn't give me the air conditioner he had in it, but he had an air conditioner in it, and he had it hooked up right here. You just have to have a flathead screwdriver to turn this screw, and this door pops open. Understand that whenever they park these at the garages, the Greyhound stations, to load people up, they had an air conditioner hose or a heating hose that they would hook into it right there. There's also, the previous owner had just used this factory, there's a factory plug on it. This no longer goes to anything. I mean, there's a wire back there, but I no longer use it. They would plug in right there to that. And it may actually be a 220 plug. He just had it hooked up to 110 volt, and he was running the whole bus off of that except for the rooftop unit. I didn't like the way it was set up. It just, as an electrician, it seemed like he was pulling too much off that same extension cord. There's a breaker box. If I had a screwdriver, I'd open this panel up. There's a breaker box he had behind there that I've abandoned that could just be unscrewed and used for something else or thrown away. I haven't taken the time to re-terminate these lights. There's LED lights and GFCI plugs in the ceiling. This is a plug, and this is a 3-light LED light. It's actually missing the bulbs. I was gonna get some bulbs. This is the only one that's missing the bulbs. This is a bar that he put up there. It's kind of a towel rack bar. That's for the ladder going up to the bunk bed. This is another GFCI. There's a GFCI right here that I've pulled loose. I pulled this ceiling down loose right here because when we did this roof, we dropped the roof out of the back half. I'll get to that later. But I cut the wires that go to this light right here. This is the kitchen light. And normally the table just slides over right here. My wife has 2 of these cushions at the house. She was cleaning them up, and these are the only 2 that dried off, so we left the other 2, but they lay down right here. And there's 2 more to make 5 total. But the lighting I never hooked back up. He had it hooked into that front plug and terminated, And I didn't like, once I found out, all the wires come to here. And I was going to trace them all out with a meter to see what's what. Just a volt ohm meter, ohm them out. But all the lights in the ceiling come to here, and I never tied them in. That's the only electric thing that I have not done to the bus, is the lighting. I was actually just using this light right here. I just had some tape up to here, and we just screwed and unscrewed the bulb to turn them on and off. This is the entertainment system, and it was already in the bus whenever we purchased it. And the ceiling, from here back, we dropped the ceiling out and we gutted the entire back of the bus back here and redid it. And the reason I redid it is because he had the bathroom in the very back with the toilet right here on top of the factory gray water or black water tank that was in the bus. It actually had a stainless steel ugly toilet that he said he removed, and then he put a regular RV toilet in. And I have that toilet. If anybody purchases the bus and wants that RV toilet, it can go with the bus. In the back here, this little pocket that sticks out, this is just a fiberglass or a plastic pocket. That's where your coolant goes in. Your coolant tank is in under here. This is just Luan 5mm floor undercoating is what it's used for a lot. But as you can see, this is a full-size bed, and right here I never did anything. I was going to put some plywood over that, and I was going to put me a desk right in this area here. And then this is of course the bed. Underneath there's a lot of space for storage. That's the heater that I heated it with. There's some of the padding that goes to the bunk beds up front. This is a residential breaker box, and that's what I installed. I'll show you on the outside where the cord, the 50 amp 25 foot cord, hooks up. This is the Gree rooftop unit, and it came with a remote. I never put batteries in it, but that's the remote to it. It's actually got a digital display here. So what I was saying was, me and my wife, we dropped this ceiling out of half of the bus, and we put a 3/4 inch piece of strip to get an air gap and full face foam in the roof, 1 inch between the framework, and then we put another inch to make a total of 2 inches in the roof. And then right here on the sides we just put, this is 1/2 inch, I think this is open cell, where the stuff in the roof is closed cell. The roof should have a R12 value. Because this is curved, we just put 2 pieces of 1/2 inch. And this styrofoam like stuff, it don't have quite the R value as the stuff that we used in the roof. I already have this Luan cut that I was going to add right here down the side. You'd also, whoever purchases the bus, you'd probably want to put foam board down this side. We never did down this side, but on the passenger side for that half of the bus we used wood to get our air gap, and that's just probably 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch wood. I think it's actually a 1x2, and then 2 1-inch pieces of foam board, and then Luan. You need to take another piece of Luan and cut a strip to put right here, and then there's some 90-degree aluminum that you could trim it out. Or if you had a better idea, I'm sure there's 100 ways to go at it. In the back I have this string of lights. Since I've never hooked lighting up, I just have it plugged in back here, and also have an extension cord plugged in that drops down under the bed. That's where I plug my computer charger and all that stuff. This is a 4-bulb LED light, and I was just going to hammer on a box and add it up here. Inside here I got some double breakers, and I forget what they all go to. I could look it up and print some labels out.
Hey, Mom.
Mama's outside, baby. What's wrong?
We have.
A camera. Why don't you go outside and talk to Mama?
Where is her?
Look, she's right out there in the truck. Do you see her right out there in the truck? You better run. You better hurry. No, get down from here. Up here I have a flush mount, and I never took a knife and carved that out, but I have a flush mount 12 volt light, and right here drops down a 12 volt wire, and I just added 12 volt lighting just in case one day I wanted to put solar panels on it. This wire right here that drops down actually goes to this light, which is in the bedroom, and then this wire on the other side of the air conditioner goes to a light that drops down in the bathroom. There's the cordet. And then inside here, this is another granite countertop. I want to say it's 3 foot wide. It's on a double cabinet. It also has a 4 LED light, stainless steel, that would be mounted right here. This is the vent. This black pipe is the vent that goes up and out the RV roof. On top of the roof is actually an RV vent fixture. And what you would want to do here is actually build a false 2x4 wall, and you could put a square medicine cabinet and hinge this shelf, or just put a different mirror back here. But you'd want to put a false wall here to come out and have your Luan or whatever you face it out with on this side of the pipe. Sitting on the toilet right here, there's an area to build shelves. You could buy them, or you could build a cabinet. I just got a piece of cardboard there to kind of make it a little bit more private in the bathroom. When we had this thing in an RV park, we actually just put a piece of foam board up in here because it helped keep it cool in the summertime and for privacy. This crack right here is not on the inside, it's on the outside. All this glass is double paned. I'd actually considered taking some of these glasses, these windows. They're pretty long. They're 6.5 to 7 foot long. They're all kind of oddball lengths. But you can take them out real easy and then put metal on the outside. And then you could put a regular RV window in it, or you could just insulate it and not have so much glass. I put a residential toilet in it. And I did this just because I don't plan on boondocking. The only place we used it was in RV parks where we had full hookups. The only thing not plumbed currently, and I got this stuff out in the truck to do it, I just haven't got around to doing it, but it's the cold water and hot water to this sink isn't hooked up. And it'll run right here with this drain pipe and all this electrical. And I'll do that before somebody purchases the bus. The electrical, I just really don't have the time to finish. But this plumbing, I'll go ahead and do since I have the tools to crimp the pecs and everything. But when you trim this out, you're going to need to trim with a couple boards all the way down to hide the electrical. And it could be removable in case you ever have to service it. That roll of black wire right there is just a TV cable that we had running out to the cable TV at the RV park. And it just runs up there behind the TV. And I hadn't put any plugs in here. There's a cutout for a light. It's not wired yet. You just run your wire behind this wall. And right up here to this false wall where you mount that LED light. But you'd probably also want to cut another one in and put a 110 volt plug right here. This and the bedroom is really the other two places that need plugs. And actually this wire goes to the back. You just have to put you a bell box or a box right there. And this wire runs up, and I'll show you. It runs behind that wall right there. That wire's hid. It runs up to right here. So you'd have to actually put a junction box there and run it either to the breaker box or tie it into another. You could put a plug here and have a heater right here in the floor. This shower here is just, I don't think they call it PVC, I forget what they call it, but it's panels that have been cut out and I siliconed up. It's just a shower, and here we have a 3-rack shelf. And down here in the floor needs to be tiled. What you're seeing, that red down there, is this Red Guard waterproof crack prevention membrane, and that's what the code requires before you put tile. You know, it's to make a roll-in shower pan. It's a paintable shower pan. And so I put that down and I showered in it while I was off working, you know, every night, and I never had any trouble out of it. But it would be nice to have tile installed. The microwave's right there under the table. We took it down off the refrigerator to move it. It's a Dometic, which are made for RVs. This table here has double leaf on it. Both of these leaves fold up. There's a couple more RV lights. This one right here I bought just because it had a switch. I was going to install it up front for the kids to have. This one right here I've already purchased, and I was going to put it in the front of the bus. It's got a motion detector on it. That's what this little bulb here is, so that when you open the door it would come on. And then also there's 3 more of them flush mount lights.
Mama.
Baby, Mama's outside. And right here I actually cut in to put another flush mount light, 12 volts. And the 12 volt system, the wires have been ran into the wall. You'd actually have to take them in under the bus most likely with the hot water heater and all the other utilities. And that's where you could put your inverter. Other than that, I really can't think of anything else that you'd want to know. If there's any questions, you can hit me in the comments or send me an email. I'm gonna turn the switch on and crank it up. These things smoke a lot when you first crank them up. I understand that that's because there's actually a turbo, or not a turbo, but a supercharger that sets on top of the engine since it's a 2-stroke. And the seals leak. This is the 2 batteries and the on and off switch here in this battery compartment. But the seals leak from the oil that sits in the supercharger. And I don't know, it has to run about 5 minutes for all the oil to burn off before it quits smoking. Then it don't smoke at idle. But when you pull down, if you really gas down on it, it'll smoke a little bit going down the road. But as you can see, there's a lot of smoke. And like I say, it'll smoke for about 5 minutes. And from what I've read on forums and stuff, that's completely normal. I know this one's always done it. And this thing, as you see, it fired right up. And I hadn't ran it since, I don't know, 2 weeks or so ago. I turned it around and parked it right here. Here's all your light switches. And you have a high idle, and it works off air pressure. So your air pressure has to get up to about 60 pounds before it'll actually work. This is an air conditioner that don't work. This is a driver's defrost high and low. That's what you're actually hearing. And it was actually on. I guess one of the kids probably turned it on. It was on when I turned the bus on. This says coach heat on. I'm not quite sure. Never drove this thing in the cold, so I've never messed with the heater. I'm not sure if it's intact or if there's valves, or I really know nothing about the heater. This is a step light and chimes. I've never messed with it. Indirect lighting would probably be these lightings along these black panels that are still up front. I didn't pull these down, but there's lighting in under them. But I think for the most part, they've all been disconnected or removed. Hazard lights work great. The blinkers work fine. If we turn the bus lights on, the high beams will work. But if you hit this switch down here for the low beams don't work. I'm not sure if that's the switch or if it's a fuse or something to do with the low beam lights. There's a fan here that don't work, but it's 12 volt, I believe. I've never played with it. And then the clearance lights, for whatever reason, don't work. But because I've only drove it during the day, the blinkers and the headlights work, and the brake lights work, the hazard lights work, so I've never really messed with anything else. The windshield washers are air, so you gotta wait for the air to build up, and it takes a long time for the air to build up on it. Probably about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes for all the air, and that's because the compressor has to air up all the airbags. This thing has 2 airbags on the front, and I'm sure 2 or 4 on the back. Another issue that it's had, whenever we purchased it, it was leaning to the, I believe it leans to the driver's side. And once you drove it down the road a few miles, it would even out. I understand there's some sort of a leveling valve. I've never really read anything or researched it to see what it'd take to fix it, because it never was a problem. Once you drove down the road a little ways, it would level out and be fine. However, the last time I drove it 60 miles from Shreveport to where it is now, it never leveled out. It was kind of leaning to one side the entire way. So that, if you're gonna drive this thing cross country, you might wanna fix it. As you can see, the smoke's quit. For the most part, it's still smoking a little bit. It will eventually completely quit. Here's where the 25-foot 50-amp cord hooks up. And then the water hose and your plumbing, I just have coming out this little door right here. I have a piece of gutter, and I would run it in that gutter down to wherever the RV park had the hookup. And then the TV cable I just dropped down and ran out that same hole. But that back compartment with the lock on it, looks like my son's up there. He's done turned the hazard lights on and off. You gonna let him drive the bus? If I had more time, I'd take it on a test drive and show that in the video and let y'all watch the air pressure build up. We're up to 30 pounds now. I'm not sure how long it's been, but it's getting late and we got a lot to do at the house, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. But if this video is on YouTube, the bus is for sale. I will update the YouTube listing after the bus is sold. And again, if you have any questions about it, it's not 100% finished. There's still a little work to be done, but I'd be willing to answer any questions you have. And there's that disconnect to turn off. Anyway, thank you for looking at the tour.